Всем привет, ребята! Меня зовут Матвея. Это мой YouTube канал Actual Exotic Cars. Я обладатель UAZ Америка и UAZAmerika.com. Моя цель импортировать УАЗ машины и другие русские и советские автомобили в США. Причине я начинаю говорить на русском языке на этом ролике, это потому что я думаю, знак русского языка очень важно. Это потому что много стран бывшего Советского Союза еще говорят на русском языке, поэтому знак русского языка необходим, особенно на автомобильном рынке. Давайте начинаем. Hey guys, Matthew here, Actual Exotic Cars. I thought I would switch things up a little bit, and I did my intro in Russian. I try to spend a few hours every day on it, and I think obviously as entailed in the intro that the knowledge of Russian language is very important in the importation of UAZ and other Soviet vehicles for obvious reasons. So basically, I have started a new website, or I refurbished my website, as I should say, and I wanted to make a video basically explaining why you should buy an UAZ, what your comparisons are, and why you should buy through UAZ America. So let's begin. So UAZ, what is an UAZ? If you don't know what an UAZ is, it's basically Uyaznovsky Automobilny Zavod. UAZ for short. I don't expect anybody here to learn Russian. Trust me, it's not the easiest thing to do. Long story short, basically, a lot of Russian car manufacturers, the names of them. This literally means Ulyanovsk, which is the city these are made in, automotive factory. That's what UAZ stands for. It's kind of, I don't want to say like saying GMC or something, but it's just an acronym. So why should you buy an UAZ? An UAZ is a cheap, affordable 4x4 van. It was, I'm not going to get into the whole history of it. I have made a separate video on that if you're interested in that. But basically, it was created by the Soviet government as a cheap 4x4 to get people around. So this is my website here. I go to my about page. A few years ago, I personally bought an UAZ, and unfortunately, right now, the process of buying an UAZ into the U.S. is relatively difficult, especially given the origins, if you understand. So basically, what are your alternatives? And in my mind, the reason why I think this is the perfect time for UAZ to enter the car market, and personally why I'm putting a lot of resources of my time into trying to get UAZ into the car market, is because, frankly, as an American, I feel the American 4x4 market right now is absolute garbage. And what do I mean by that? I know a lot of people personally. I'm sure anybody listening to this knows a lot of people personally. American 4x4s now are basically just luxury vehicles, overpriced, and they kind of lost their purpose and function. Now, if you want to get an older American 4x4, like an old Chevy K10 or something, an old Suburban, like square body, some of the old Fords are pretty nice. I completely understand the Broncos are pretty nice, but anybody watching this or anybody that's really big into cars probably realizes the price ranges in these are absolutely insane. Like a Ford Bronco for even a half junky Ford Bronco, you might be paying 30, 40 grand for an old 4x4, and it probably has over, six figures in the miles, over 100,000 miles, rusted. You're paying what, 30 grand or something for it? Prices are absolutely ridiculous. You could get a new one. These are some prices of some supposedly 4x4 Chevy Suburbans, whatnot. But again, I mean, look at these prices. They're absolutely, 40,000 miles. You're almost paying 60 grand. Now, I do realize these are brand new vehicles. I 100% realize that. But the reliability on these aren't really good. They're a pain in the butt to work on. And like I said, if you just want to go off-roading and have some fun, these are not, in my mind, the vehicle for you. And that's something why I think UAZ kind of fits a gap in the U.S. market that hasn't been filled for a while. If you're a young guy or something, you just want to have some fun, go money or something on the weekend, I mean, you're not going to be getting a brand new Suburban. If you have a family or something, that's a different story. But I think that's definitely something where UAZ outshines. And another advantage of UAZ, even if you want to haul a lot of people, dude, this is a van, right? You could store a ton of people in the back, and that's what these were made for. So to me, it's kind of the all of everything that you're looking for. So that's basically my thoughts on the current U.S. car market. There really isn't anything that steps out. And before you go, oh, you skipped the Wrangler. No, I didn't. Brand new Wranglers. This is just a two-door. They're wanting to sell for $41,000. you can get an UAZ Hunter, which is basically the UAZ version of the Wrangler, for a fraction of the price. And in my mind, they even look cooler, and they offer a very similar package. So this is an UAZ Hunter, which we can import through UAZ America. And if you compare that to the Jeep Wrangler, I mean, this is 41 grand. Our top package on UAZ America, and actually kind of looking through things, the prices might jump up a little bit. My computer's being a little slow here. I apologize. 20 grand, that might go up by a few grand. The idea for this is you have full new engine, full new transmission. Everything's pretty much brand new. To import a vehicle into the U.S., it has to be older than 25 years old. But the guts of the vehicle, it's going to stay original because it needs to be original to import. But we're going to try to make everything as new as possible. So for literally half the price, you're getting a product that offers everything that this offers for half the price. There's really no other way to explain it. Plus, if you drive the Jeep Wrangler, nobody's going to say anything about it. It's just an average car, which in my mind is very overpriced for what you're getting. Where if you get an UAZ, you're going to be turning some heads. So in my mind, all advantage in that is towards UAZ. Plus, I think the quality of Dodge products, Jeep products have went way downhill, especially nowadays, but that's just personal opinion. So that is everything as far as the American market goes. Now, obviously, living in the States, a lot of people will know and understand that the Japanese have kind of taken over the all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive market, or at least a lot of it. So here's some other comparisons of what you could get, at least from the Japanese side. This is a Subaru WRX, and I'm not trying to cherry pick prices or anything. I mean, you're going to be paying 30, 40 grand. I personally thought about getting a Subaru, and these are pretty decent vehicles. You know, you're going to get around 20-something miles per gallon. It's a car, obviously, if you want to store a lot of people. Let's say you want to go camping. Let's say you want to go overlanding or something. Obviously, UAZ is going to be a better deal, and the fact that we can come in for, like half the price of what a Subaru would come through. And again, this is in my mind, even if you get more towards the upgraded packaging, it's going to be a fraction of the cost of a Subaru. Subarus are pretty nice, but in my mind, UAZ is just a completely different concept, and I wouldn't really expect to do any crazy mudding or anything in a Subaru. So that is basically everything as far as Subaru. Plus, boxer engines, they are a bit of a pain to work on, and that is something that UAZ, say what you want about UAZ, they are very easy to work on. So that is basically as far as Subaru goes. Suzuki Samurais, they stopped making these about a decade ago or so, and give or take. I personally like the Suzuki Samurais. I know they get a bad name. Unfortunately, they stopped importing them in the U.S. You can still import your own, but Suzuki stopped importing a while ago. And they are pretty good, cheap price, pretty good deal, especially compared to a Jeep Wrangler. Again, to me, a big selling point of the UAZ, though, is you're getting a van for a similar price, where obviously Suzuki, you're getting a little box, if you will. So nothing against the Samurais. At some point, I would even probably like to import some of my own, but I think UAZ, you're getting a lot more for the price. So now let's go to, let's say you want to import a 4x4 van from elsewhere. This is from Japan, the Hiaces. There's a few companies that import these, JDM Market. These are right-hand drive. I've seen listings for these. I've seen people see them driving around. They're pretty popular. You can get these in diesel, and the prices are somewhat decent. I think this one advertises here for 26 grand. That is with a 3-liter diesel, sunroof and everything. And I'm not going to lie, this is a pretty good deal. This is something I would personally do myself. Again, UAZ, I feel like you're getting a completely different experience to this. Not saying this is bad by any means, but again, price-wise, still under the price range here. It's still something different. A lot of these were used for military vehicles back in the Soviet Union. I just think the history alone is definitely worth it, but definitely not a bad deal at all if you ever do decide to go with a JDM 4-wheel drive van. European market. I'm not going to show any pictures of Land Rovers or Mercedes. I think those are pretty self-evident. The biggest problem with those are prices, and I would just say difficulty to work on. You have a Land Rover, or if you have like a G-Wagon or something, obviously the prices are going to be astronomical compared to an UAZ, and then on top of that, anything goes wrong. You have a Mercedes, it's not the easiest thing in the world to work on. A job that would cost an UAZ $200 to fix, it's going to cost a Mercedes like $1,000 to fix. So just because of the complexity of the vehicle. Obviously, I think that's a different price range than what an UAZ customer would be looking for. So this is a Volkswagen van again. I didn't even realize that these came in 4-wheel drive. Apparently some of them did. I don't really have anything necessarily against Volkswagen. Another big thing in my mind is just the difficulty to work on them. I personally know people that have owned these, and it's just been a pain in the butt. So if you want a Volkswagen, awesome. Prices on these are actually still pretty good too. In my mind, I like working on my own stuff. I like simplicity. That's why, in my mind, UAZ is a pretty good deal. But again, that is the Volkswagen. So the reason I brought all these up is I wanted to compare and contrast what you would get in the four-wheel drive market, especially in the four-wheel drive van market in the U.S., which is extremely lacking, by the way. And again, you can get some older, you can still get the Astro vans or some of the Ford vans and whatnot. Like I said, I feel like reliability with American vehicles right now is not necessarily the greatest, and pricing with American vehicles right now is not necessarily the greatest. So that's what mine kind of throws me out. I would like to buy American, I really would, but make a good product. That's my mind. So UAZ, I'm going to be completely honest with you. These things are very bare bones. I think I even, like I said, the basic package where we don't even do anything. I literally call it the bare bones package. And why would you get an UAZ? If you got a standard one, I have daily driven an UAZ for, a few months. Myself, personally, I own an UAZ. Why would you want an UAZ? So, I mean, you're only going to be going around 50, 60 miles an hour max with an UAZ. So it only makes around 70 something horsepower. I will say the 4x4 capabilities are very good. And the reasoning being is the engine is between the seats on this. It's a cab over, and all the weight's in the front. So there's been times where I've been sledding out and not even that much snow. I pop that sucker into four-wheel drive. I can go through feet of mud now just because it's so top heavy. So in my mind, one of the best, I don't want to say deals, but let's say you wanted an UAZ, you wanted it to be a reliable daily driver though. Obviously, getting parts and whatnot are going to be a little more difficult than even some of those Toyota import vans, just because it's an UAZ and with sanctions and everything. Again, I have made a video on that, and eventually I plan on selling parts on my website as well. How do you get around that? Awesome thing about UAZ, they're stupid easy to work on. So this is Hub Vlogs. This was recommended to me. He literally put a Toyota engine into his UAZ. The Ford four-banger engines for the Rangers, I was told perfectly drop into an UAZ. You can take an American engine, transmission, everything, shove it into an UAZ. Anything ever happens. Cool thing about Toyota too, extremely reliable engines. You're getting the body of an UAZ. You still have a Soviet vehicle, but you have the reliability of a Toyota. Plus, if anything ever happens to it, if you need parts, this blew, that blew, you can go to AutoZone and still get parts for it. So to me, it's kind of the best of both worlds. That's one of the main reasons why I am selling this basic package, which is basically we just buy a van that runs and we ship it straight to you. Like, as long as it runs, off it goes. You're going to get more for the body than anything else. So in my mind, that's one of the most practical ways of buying an UAZ. Again, you can get the new UAZ engine, the new UAZ transmission, 5-speed, a little more horsepower. You can hit 70, 80 miles an hour. That's an option as well. If you live out in the country or this is just going to be your mudding vehicle on the side, there's nothing wrong with just the normal UAZ engine. I just want to let you know when it comes to highway speeds and maybe even getting around the city and whatnot. The way it's geared and everything, that's not what it was necessarily made for, and you'll figure that out if you buy one. So that's why I brought this up. This is a very good resource and video to watch if you are interested in importing in UAZ. So I kind of already covered the sad state, or at least in my mind, of current U.S. vehicles. There's kind of a reason why if you drive around in the States, like every other house has a Japanese vehicle in front of it. A lot of that's reliability, prices, so on and so forth. So what is the difference between a Russian vehicle and other European vehicles? And this is something I want to know personally. I like working a lot of my own vehicles, and there's definitely reputations by vehicles, right? Like Japanese vehicles are easy to work on, are reliable. Like a German car is reliable, but it's very expensive and difficult to work on and over-engineered. And Italian vehicles have a certain reputation. What's it like working on a Russian vehicle, especially an UAZ? And the best way I could describe it, and one of the reasons I wanted to get in the business of selling these, it's like working on an old American video. So I have a square body pickup truck right now, 83. When I work on that, between when I work on my UAZ, it's similar in a weird way. Everything's easy to get to. It's basic. I don't necessarily need a manual. If I need to change out a cable or the thermostat or something, I mean, it might take me like 10 minutes, a couple bolts. Everything's easy to get at. Now my Fiat, on the other hand, is not necessarily that case. It's a pain in the butt. If I got to do something, I might have to take three things out. Everything's bunched up. It's really hard to get to anything. UAZ is not that way at all. So any of my fellow gearheads out there, and this is something I did put in my FAQ section of my website. If you're interested in getting into UAZ, basically, if it breaks down, who will work on it. The UAZ was based off of an old Jeep, and there really hasn't been, because of the communist system, too many changes with the ones that we're going to be importing. So it's like almost like 40s, 50s American mechanics, which kind of at first sounds but it's like you got to realize because of that, it's so easy to work on. And I've had multiple American mechanics work on my UAZ, never a single complaint. So to me, that's definitely a big pro of an UAZ, and it's something from a European vehicle you wouldn't necessarily expect. So again, that's an UAZ. Now, what are some comparisons with some of the other Soviet 4x4s? UAZ is not the only Soviet vehicle company or Russian vehicle company. A lot of Nivas, they imported those in Canada for a while. There's also the Gods. Again, I have made a video on this. Please watch that if you're interested in that. Why UAZ specifically? So first thing, UAZ is the only one that offers basically a van. Gods, with the Volgas, they got more into passenger cars later on. The cool thing about Gods, though, is a lot of them are related to the UAZ. So a lot of the parts are interchangeable. So if I put in UAZ brake parts in my van, the box might even say Gaz on it because the parts are identical. And I might even start selling Gaz 69s. If anyone's interested in getting one of those, please fill out the form on the contact page, and I will be happy to try to guide you the best that I can. And as far as Lada's concerned, they did sell those in North America for a while. I think they still sell them in South America and Central America. Fortunately, never really broke through into the U.S. market. The Niva is kind of its own weird separate thing. I would at some point like to get into those. As far as the other Lada products, a lot of them are basically based off of the Fiat. So my cool thing, and I think UAZ is a perfect fit for the American market, is the fact that it was based off of the World War II Jeep, if you will. So I've said this multiple times. When I work on mine, I have a Jeep, a World War II, like 1945 Jeep guide that I use. It's very similar. When I was redoing my brakes, I watched a video of a guy working on his 50s Willys Jeep. Everything was the same, worked perfect. So to me, it's kind of like the perfect, like what American cars should be nowadays, if you will. And that's why I prefer UAZ. Again, I've never personally driven a Niva, so I can't really say. I know there is a lot of worldwide acclaim for them. But again, same thing. If you want to have a lot of passengers, a lot more seats, and that's specifically why I'm going after the Buhanka compared to the Hunter. I think the Hunters are cool as well. I've already shown some pictures of that. But I think the Buhanka is something neat, different, that is desperately needed in the current U.S. car market. So that is why I am going specifically for the Buhankas. So basically, a conclusion, what I plan on doing with this company, I think I've already shared all my thoughts on why you should buy a new UAZ, why it is a good deal. I think as an asset, it's only going to go up in value. How many people even have UAZs? If you look right now for Buhanka listings in the U.S., good luck. You're probably not going to find anything. They're far and few in between. So basically, I think that UAZ will do very well in the U.S. Unfortunately, due to sanctions and whatnot, Bremick almost imported it in the U.S. about a year ago or a couple years ago, and then when everything hit in Eastern Europe, obviously that kind of went away. But there's so many UAZs in ex-Soviet republics that to me it's kind of a disservice if we don't try to bring them over here. The plan of this company, so basically as a business, without getting too much in the details, I want to be completely transparent with what my plans are for UAZ America. I've already made a video giving a guide to the website. I've made another video with a trailer, kind of like what to expect from UAZ. It's on my homepage right here, obviously, if you want to watch that. Just some videos of UAZ in action, if you will. I can sell a limited amount of UAZs or import a limited amount of UAZs before I would have to have some sort of dealership license. The goal is for a year or two, sell as many as I can to basically see if there is a market. And if there is a market at some point, I would like to get a brokerage license, which means I could sell as many UAZs as I could possibly want. So the big idea, and I think the difference between me and a lot of other companies, is complete title support. What I mean by that is it's kind of intimidating when you import a vehicle for the first time. So one of the primary goals of this website, project, company, if you will, is we do everything for you. We do all the legwork for you. You don't have to deal with customs. You don't have to worry about, all these weird taxes and this and that. How do I get it here? And everything's in Russian or Armenian or Georgian, whatever. All these weird languages. The idea is everything's done for you, and it's even better than a dealership because we deliver it straight to you. Piece of cake, everything's easy at the click of a button. So that is kind of the goal of this website, to make UAZ ownership as simple and easy as possible, even easier than buying a Ford. That is the goal for this website. Hopefully, at some point, the idea, given the fact I own multiple Eastern European vehicles myself, including an UAZ, I would like to have a showroom where people could come in, test drive an UAZ, see what it is before they even purchase it, and then they can go online, fill out, we can find a good UAZ for them and get it shipped straight to their door. So that is the idea at some point in the future, but obviously for now, the goal is just kind of feel out the market, see if there is an interest. So I just thought I would make this video. I know it's not necessarily the most interesting video that I've ever made. I just wanted to make a little informative video about what the purpose of UAZ America is, why you should buy an UAZ, and what the advantages of UAZ ownership are. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and bye.